Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you for joining me here. Hope you're having a great day. We're going to jump right into the analysis here for ICP and obviously just kind of recognize this overextension. We'll talk about that. Congrats to those who waited from yesterday's video. I recommended not taking a long here at resistance in that $6 range, just based on that being the local high range here for us previously. While we've jumped up and down since then, we're starting to consolidate nicely in this $4.50 to $6 range. And we want to be kind of mindful that we're probably going to be range bound within that range here in the immediate future unless we lose that support. We want to treat that support as if it's going to hold first. That's generally how support levels work. But let's go ahead and double check this here first. Now, from an open interest perspective, we can kind of see there is some resistance above the price at 560 to 530. We talked about that yesterday being kind of that resistance zone for us here locally within this range. So be mindful. The price recovers to 520 to 550. Solid chance we do see some selling pressure when that happens, just based on open interest being exactly that. Taking a look here at liquidation delta, we can recognize significantly bearish here, of course, since shifted to that momentum and lost that support range at the rough estimate of $7.50 to $8. We talked about that a few days ago, late last week, of course, being the only potential support range for this coin. And since then, there's a lot of liquidation that's been piling up, not just to the upside, but the downside. This is the main reason why I want you to be careful and cautious and wanting to take a long right now, based on the simple fact there's tremendous amount of liquidation below the price. $4.50 to $4 is likely the next target area, especially if Bitcoin continues to pull back. I say that because it looks like XRP, not XRP, that's what I have pulled up here. It looks like ICP is actually more likely than not going to hit those levels because it's running pretty consistent with Bitcoin in the last 24 hours. In other words, Bitcoin pulls back, ICP pulls back double, right? And that's not necessarily a good sign here. So generally speaking, this double bottom with the potential of that this area being an ideal support range or an area where the price could pivot, there's a solid chance that we go lower just based on the expectation of Bitcoin is going to go lower. If you didn't watch my analysis from Bitcoin, you'll know it's not looking pretty good right now. And just make sure you check that out. Don't forget to also hit the like button, comment below too, of course. Really greatly appreciate that. Helps grow the channel. And once more, this is bad. Bitcoin's broken. That's kind of the context right now for the situation. So once more, shorting the bottom may not be the best idea, but taking along right now is inherently more risky, and I don't necessarily recommend that. Let's jump onto the daily time frame for ICP, of course, and quickly recognize that we got our 0.618, 0.65 golden pocket right in that open interest range, two above the price. Once more, reinforcing that local resistance. So while we could see a recovery here, and we're right here in this control area of roughly $5 for the most amount of volume locally, that's all working against us with us being below that, right? So if you take a long right now, just know that there's a lot of resistance here, and the likelihood of the price just taking off from here is pretty low unless Bitcoin recovers, right? So please understand, that's kind of an important factor here when you look at this. Daily time frame doesn't have any hidden type of divergences or bullish convergences. It's pretty straightforward. We're losing 50 on the RSI. Stochastic is swinging down. MACD is diverging. There's a lot of reasons why taking along right now is just a bad idea. 4-hour time frame. Also note here, we got our support range at about 450, roughly. I'm rounding down by a small margin there, but we're seeing a double bottom here. So I want to recognize here that there is potential for us to pivot and bounce based on overextensions, right? We're at a 9 on TD sequential. We've been running for 36 hours straight in the same direction. A pivot and a bounce from here makes sense considering we're starting to see a double bottom or a W pattern, and that's a good sign. But we got to wait for Bitcoin to hold the level first. If Bitcoin hits that 86 to 88K range, which is expected based on liquidation, then there's a solid chance we're going to see that. In other words, we take a look here at Bitcoin. This is that liquidation level for Bitcoin. Significant amount between 86 and 88K. That is not a good thing to want to try to trade into, especially when liquidation delta is super high and we have a lot of open interest above Bitcoin's price action currently. So that doesn't bode well for ICP, even though ICP in most cases is running independent of Bitcoin. Lately, we've seen a pretty direct correlation with it in the last 12 to 24 hours. That's usually a bad sign, implying that ICP is just going to bleed out when Bitcoin pulls back, and it's going to slowly increase when Bitcoin goes up. Keep in mind, it did rally pretty hard yesterday, or the day before rather, when Bitcoin did recover by a small margin, but it's far too early to think that that's going to happen again, right? So the safer play here is no play at all. I would say the daily time frame, you zoom out here. Obviously, 450 would be a much more appropriate consideration for long than it is right now. But if you want to, consider averaging in an entry now at 480 roughly, and then 450, maybe a third tertiary target 420. Kind of average into that lower support range and see if that works. But you're going to be using low margin, low position sizing. There's no confidence the price is going to recover here. So I'm just being straight with you here, not going to try to sugarcoat or tell you what you want to hear. It's always how I do it, and that's just kind of the way it goes. That's exactly why I fly below the radar on YouTube there, and most of my content goes unnoticed. But that's just kind of how it works. It's hard to get everybody interactive and to communicate on these videos just based on the simple way in which they are created, and the market just kind of sucks some days, so most people don't want to chat when that happens. Either way, conversation for another day. Don't forget to like the video, comment below if you get a chance. Please join us over at Bitunix too, folks. Links down below for this. There's a nice little deposit reward bonus going on right now that's only available for 2 or 3 more trading days. It's pretty easy to qualify though. Check it out. Links down below for that, and we'll look forward to seeing the next one. Have a good rest of your day. Take care.